Good morning, and welcome to Who Am I? Who am I? Well, I've been doing this show for a couple of years now. Mostly people don't see what I do. And for the first couple of years, I never showed my face. I'm showing my face now. This is who I am. The question of the show, the question of the day, the ultimate question of all questions from my perspective is the question, who am I? Who am I? What am I? Who are we? What are we? And what is reality? What's the point of everything? How does it work? How does it unfold? How do you manifest? What's this medium that I am swimming in? How does it work? How do you get more of what you want and less of what you don't want in this world? How does it work? How does it function? What's the object of the exercise? What are the ground rules? What are the basic fundamental laws of the universe? What's the shape of it? So that I can go from the small and specific to the very large and general, and have it be in alignment, have it make sense. How does reality make sense? How does my life make sense? And you have to go all the way from reality to your life and back again. You have to be able to toggle that back and forth and have it all work. You can't have it all compartmentalized. And maybe we'll touch on the reasons why. I don't know. I get into kind of a state and I can riff on this stuff and link it all together and really have a conversation about it just with myself. I have to do that because it's very, very early in the morning and there's nobody around me. So I have had to learn to talk to myself. Who am I? What does it mean to be a human being? And I actually think that that is the question of the day. And our government is asking it all the time as they build systems based on what they think a human being is. And I'm going to tell you right now that the systems that they're building, we don't want these systems, because they are systems of elimination. They're how to get rid of, hold on a second. How to get rid of human beings that are not worthy. How do we dispose of, because let's face it, we are cells. Each one of us is a cell in the great body of humanity. We are humanity, whether we agree with that or not, whether we dismiss it or whether we think of it as a valid frame to hang our thoughts on. Doesn't matter. We are a superorganism on this planet. We are humanity. And each one of us could be seen as a cell in the greater body of humanity. Just as every one of our cells is a little autonomous self-service seeker in the body of our body. Our body is not holding together because all of the cells are sacrificing themselves for each other. That's not exactly what they're doing. They're trusting each other completely. But each one of our cells is going about its own daily business, seeking pleasure or food and sustenance, and retreating from things that poisons and such, discomfort. Who are we? What does it mean to be a human being? I'm going to try to focus this because it is the question. Is our value to the greater body only defined by our productivity level? Because if the answer to that is yes, that's when AI and automation becomes horribly threatening to common people. But if we don't answer the question that way, if our value is beyond what we see as our productivity level, because I'm telling you, human beings are so much more amazing than that. And there is this incredible, vast, far-reaching, highly specialized level of amazing that we could cover if we tapped this greater resource of every human being. Every human being, because who we are and what we are is not disposable, it's sacred. So I'm sorry, Stephen Miller, but there are not garbage people. There are no shithole countries, although there are countries where there could be improvements. There could be improvements to human dignity. There could be improvements to day-to-day functioning for all human beings. There's all kinds of better that we could produce. We are and we go what we are looking at. I know that didn't actually grammatically make traditional sense, but what we are is what we're looking at, or where we are going. Where we go is what we're looking at. Whatever you're looking at, that is the direction that your light vehicle is traversing. And it's way more about spirits and states of being than it is about specific conditions. Although you care about specific conditions. The thing is you don't really care about specific conditions when weighed against spirits. You care about spirits more than you care about conditions. Because quite frankly, you'll take any way that it turns out if it could be guaranteed that the way it was going to be was abundant, beautiful, playful, lighthearted, allowing, Spirits are what we care about. So get the spirits right first. And pledge allegiance to spirits, as in frequencies, as in states of being, as in the... So, what does it look like to assume a spirit? So, my teachings, my equations tell me that at the largest frame, all human beings are vibrationally a wholeness with the rest of the field. Actually, my teachings, that's what I teach. That's the words I say. That's not the words I was taught. That's how I put it. I paraphrase. I conglomerate. I aggregate. I synthesize. I put this all together because that's what we are. We're an addition. We're an and project. We are not an or project. Who are we? Who are we? It's such a big question. And, I kind of sometimes go into little fits trying to describe it because it comes from so many directions. How to say this thing. But ultimately, I have found that it boils down to the question, who am I? What am I? Who are we? What is the object of the exercise? And if you're going to set your imagination up, if you're going to set your consciousness up, if you're going to set trying to accurately reflect in your mirror of consciousness, it's like Rumi said, you're not a drop of water in the ocean. You are the whole ocean in a drop of water. And that's a pretty good way of looking at it, because I think that it's a mirror. It's a kind of mirror. It absolutely reflects the information of the universe. Who am I? Who am I? And why do I matter? And I think literally matter. We're talking about matter. We're talking about our material relationship to the physicality of the atomic structure of the material universe. All the time when I talk about the spiritual stuff, I'm really talking about matter. I'm talking about the relationship between the two. And who am I in this relationship between the two? Because I'm smack dab in the middle. For me, I am literally right at the event horizon. That's where I abide. And you do too, by the way. Everything that I say about myself in this discussion absolutely reflects to everyone else too, because we are all cells in this super organism that is humanity, and the meaning of our lives and what it means as we come to our full fruition, our full actuality, our full maturity as a human cell, and then pass away. What are these systems, pedagogical systems, and practical ambulatory systems, communication systems, healthcare systems, recycling systems, the systems that produce food, that sync up with abundance, and the abundance creating machine that is this life force that we live within, that we're all part of. Who are we? It matters so much. Right now we have a government that imagines that it is qualified to determine who is worthy to be here and who needs to go. And when they go, because we're processing now thousands of people, where did we put them? Where do we put them? We're going to be doing this to the tune of millions of people. And then you better watch out, because if you ever look like you are not productive to the body politic, then, out you go. Doge is going to take care of you. Who are we? Like I said, if you define the value of being a human being by our productivity, then AI and automation is our death knell, because it can do it all so much better. I mean, intelligence is intelligence. We've got to understand that who we are is a oneness. We are a oneness, whether I want it to be or not, has nothing to do with anything. We are a oneness. And our inner being is thinking about the world in terms of the meeting point where all of our needs are meeting all of our needs. It really is a way, 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 way better world because of all of us than it used to be when there was very few of us. Life was hard, and we were just eking it out of the countryside before we built our systems of food production and all the things. We're system builders. We are. And not all of us are involved in system building. Some of us are involved in information gathering. Others are involved in direct service, nursing, food production, food preparation. That would be the word. But all of us are in service to the wholeness that we are. And for the longest time, we've just done it because that was the way to get money. And if you didn't get money, then you didn't have the ticket to you didn't have the meal ticket. Well, we've made and prepared lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of food. More than enough for every cell of us. What we haven't developed yet is a system of accurately, fairly, correctly, productively, kindly, accurately is perhaps the one I like best of all those I just threw out there. Accurately distributing the food in the most reflective manner to the spirit of who we are and what we want to emphasize. So what do I mean by all of those, by that word salad? You are, where do I start? Ooh, I can hear the footsteps of my dog. Hold on, Camilla. Good boy. Good boy. Hold on, please stay in. I just hurt my knee. Ow. I just hurt my knee. I am certainly not a perfect example of a physical specimen. Although you'll come to know more about me as you watch this show, as I get more comfortable being behind the camera. For the longest time, I have just learned to speak unconditionally behind pictures like this, pictures like, screenshots of. But what I've come to realize that I think who I am might be part of the equation too, that certainly one that people might be interested in, and they might be more inclined to hear me if they see me in my face, feel my humanity. Who am I? So let's get back to the meat of our discussion. Who am I, and what does it mean to be a human being, and why is it important that I voice this viewpoint? How important it is. Yeah, our individuality is incredibly important, and all of but it's who we are as a collective, and I mean this completely unconditionally. Who we are is humanity, and each and every one of us is a cell in this body of humanity. And we're going to keep fighting the autocrat down through history forever and ever, screaming unto the end of time until we understand this phenomenon. It's so important for us to understand it, for us to embrace this. Because only then can we overcome the spirit of the autocrat and get on to the collective spirit that is all of us. So far, it has been hard for humanity to gather itself collectively, effectively, any other way than with a strong monarch figure at the top saying, do this, and then the whole body of the people does that, and then things get done. Up until now, this is the only way that we knew how to effectively be. It was the only thing that ever worked. And sorry, got a scratch, itchy eyelid. Well, we're coming to a moment in time when, hold on, I feel something odd. And we don't need to just see it as a no, although obviously it's a big fat no. But the thing is seeing a no isn't enough. You have to see the yes in the no, because the no is actually judged information. And if you just throw it out, then you've lost all the information. So you have to find the yes in the no. Because everything that is with a capital I. Things that you can't, we keep pushing it away. No, hate that. We don't like this. But it keeps coming back. And so the question is, what's the archetype here that we need to be understanding so that we don't need to keep playing this out, so that we can find our collective way to self-rule, to self-determination, to ultimate freedom, to harmony within the body, without, not law and order, although law and order is good. It's law and love and order. I used to say, up until like yesterday, it's not law and order, it's love and order. But it's actually law and order. It's law and love and order. It's the spirit of the law. It's the letter of the law whenever it aligns with the spirit of the law. It's never the letter of the law without the spirit of the law. What the hell am I talking about? Who are we? What does it mean to be a human being? Serious as a heart attack question. Because what these people are doing is they are, in their philosophy, building systems of human elimination, one way or another, getting them out of here, sending them to, it doesn't matter how bad it is where they're going, it's not here. Who cares if they're being tortured in El Salvador or Guatemala, or I don't know where or Florida. I don't know where these places are. But if we're not building them ourselves and manning them with Americans, we're in cahoots. Our government is conspiring for systems of bad people elimination. And the bad people that they are defining is any immigrant that cannot, with a piece of paper, prove that they have a legal right to be here. And frankly, many people who do have pieces of paper like that, but which the current administration just wouldn't have agreed with giving them that piece of paper. So, or they just don't care about no damn piece of paper, because that's not actually the vibration I'm going by. Think about it. And it's not okay. It is not okay to be terrorizing these immigrant communities this way. It's just not okay. And I feel that it is stemming from a philosophy. It's not just a philosophy that they're going by. It's in some ways it's more simple than that. And I can discuss it more clearly than that. It's actually a template in consciousness that imagines itself to be true, a framework that imagines itself to be true, and actually when you play it out, it reflects back to you just as though you were valid. It's the us versus them template, and it's just not correct. The universe is so reflective, though, so perfectly reflective, that if you approach the situation with an us versus them mentality and a finite pie mentality and a scarcity consciousness mentality, the mirror will reflect that back perfectly, will give you an absolute abundance of scarcity and a whole boatload of winners and losers. But that's not in alignment with how your inner being sees it. And who is your inner being? Your inner being is your macro self. People call it your higher self. There's a lot of things that religious people will start referring to it as things like the Holy Spirit and the Holy Ghost, and imagine that it's something other than you that is communicating with you. But it's you. It's you. You are two selves. And you could think it the way you can delineate the two selves in a number of ways. I like micro and macro, but it's more than that, because your macro self is pure vibration. That's the only way it can encompass the whole thing. And it's being created because the quanta of this universe, which are actually Plancks, at the Planck field level, the whole field is interacting with itself and exchanging its information across the whole field, every Planck instant, vibrationally. That's how it's doing it. If you want to understand the world, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that's how you can tell how things feel matters a lot. How things feel is your greater self feeling literally the universe. But it's doing it in terms of equations that your analytical mind is running and things that you imagine are true because you are two minds. And one mind knows because it is the whole universe. Your inner being is in touch with the whole equation, can see the whole win-win scenario that could play out, because every point is, if every point is both self-serving and source-oriented, then the whole thing is playing synchronistically to the joyous benefit of all that who will bathe in the I'm starting to get kooky awareness of the whole thing and follow its impulses that are trying to lead us to the win-win position. Why is that? So I have an inner being. This inner being is vibrational, and it is source. I am an extension of source energy, and so are you, because frankly, at some level, it's because I am made of atoms. Now that kind of gives me something special being in a physical body, but it isn't just that I am made of atoms. It's that the universe is made of atoms. And this materiality is connected to itself. It is one body. And you don't have to jump all the way out to there, but you can identify quite a bit more with your collective self. Just do it in your head over and over again. I am two selves, and one is the macro, one is the whole thing, and the other is me and my little thing. And the whole object of the exercise is that I align these two so that one is not at cross purposes to the other. So if I am my macro and I am my micro, and my macro self is the whole thing that knows what's going on, that knows the truth of all things, that knows what I desire, as well as what you desire, as well as what she desires, as well as what they desire, as well as what would actually be good for us all. It also knows where we've been, what we've been doing, what we're doing now, what we're likely to do next, based on Who is this greater knowing? Well, it's universal consciousness, people. We don't need to get all oogie about it, but it is. And the whole dang universe is sacred, by the way. And you are sacred, and I am sacred, and you can't subtract anybody. And any philosophy that tries ends up, if it gets into power, then has to build systems that eliminate the people that they declare are not worthy to be within society. If it's just a few of them, we can handle it with a domestic prison system. And if we are doing a really good job with that domestic prison system, then maybe we're valuing the cells that go to the prisons, and we try to bring them back to the body. Rehabilitate them, show them that, there is a value to being orderly. It's also very fundamental, and it's also very basic. It feels odd to be hammering on such a basic, but that's where we are. The basics are being toppled, are being questioned. There's a guy who wrote a bunch of stuff about the experience of being in the Third Reich as Hitler and Nazism changed everything. And he points out about how it was interesting, the spirit was what changed, and some people didn't even notice that because they had spent all their time focusing on the forms. So they saw the holidays, and they saw the buildings, and they saw the jobs and the different forms all being the same, and they didn't see that underneath everything the spirit had changed. Well, excuse me, but shame on you for not seeing that spirit change. But there's a whole lot of people who do not see the meanness of spirit as being a problem. Especially if they think that the meanness of spirit is being hurled at the correct people, as in the current administration and, its immigration policies and the way it treats people, then we can't be disrespecting ICE, for instance. Those ICE agents are us. We need to shame them. We need to bring them back to us. We need to help them understand that all people matter, including them. And, the people that we really want to vilify at the top of the ticket. And instead of vilifying, we could have fixed this whole problem a very, very long time ago if back in 2016 we had recognized, first of all, who we are, fully who we are, and what pattern was getting ready to play on us. If every place where Trump was right about all the things that he was complaining about and the spirits of the people that he was championing at the time that he was doing it, he was a fake populist, but if we had have pretended like he was a real one, if we had understood what the deal was and taken him at his word, but instead half of the people saw the autocrat coming instead of the fake populist before their eyes. They should have focused on the populist and gotten him to give us all of the things that we wanted from our government, from our president. We could have summoned it forth through him. He would have allowed it. But instead we vilified him and we otherized him as he otherized us, or he hasn't otherized me. I'm a white American, And frankly, I have not actively pushed back against him I was walking around Boston at the time of the No Kings protest, the first one, so I was kind of part of that. We walked down to look at that because I wanted to feel that energy, and so I became part of it because I walked down to, but I don't want to vilify my president because he is playing out energies that we need to understand about ourselves, and he is indeed reflecting aspects of ourselves, and he would have been so easy to manage, and he still could be so easy to manage if we if the object of our exercise was we understand ourselves and we want to manage him. He would be so easy to do. For one thing, just imagine how freaking easy he is going to be to get to go in, to walk into memory care. All you have to do is just lead him in there with you can imagine all the things that he would follow into memory care. First of all, make the hallway going into memory care, plate it with gold, or make it, spray paint it with gold and tell him it's plated with gold. Then lead him in there with the promise of a gold-plated Nobel Prize, or fill in the blanks. All the comedians just fill in the blanks right there. All of the objects that it would be so easy to get Trump to come in. We should thank him. I remember when he first was coming to power, I could see how he was going to illuminate who we were, how he was going to give us all a full-throated illustration of the energies of humanity in motion and the pitfalls. This one particular pitfall, Paul Levy, go check out his work. He has a very interesting take on this. We are dreaming this into reality. We're dreaming reality into being. That's one thing that he says, and I agree with him. Quantum physics has a gift in it that will save us from ourselves, an understanding of reality that will save us from this whole thing. It will because it will bring to us an understanding of who we are and how this works. And he calls this psychic blindness that humanity has a propensity for. Every individual has the ability to do this, and it's our negative emotions take us right into this place where our greater self is lost to us. But in our anger or our fear or whatever, we imagine that we are seeing the world and the data very, very clearly, more clearly than others can see it. He calls this psychic disease, it's a blindness. It's called, he calls it Wetiko disease. And he gets this word from a Native American term, Wetiko. It's the same relative to the term you've heard of the Wendigo, the monster, the Native American spirit monster. Different shows on different platforms have riffed on that as a monster idea, because human beings love to to riff on the negative side of things. We don't actually understand our positive side. We don't understand that our positive side is actually us, inescapably us. Cannot get away from it, us. But why does it seem so far away, our positive self? Because our analytical mind has gone into all kinds of mean-spirited, negative territory, not recognizing who we are. And we'll take a negative tack simply because we're observing something out there in conditional physicality that we don't like. And we get to looking at it, and then we get all negative because we're looking at something negative. But we actually should be careful about this, because there's something really important that happens whenever we look at something. We start entraining in that frequency. And so even though you're going to blame the condition it's not me, it's that thing I'm looking at that's making me go all negative, blame that thing. If we could change that thing quit it from being that negative thing, then I would quit vibrating in this negative way and joining this negative spirit, this negative energy that is going on. We really need to understand ourselves and this whole field that we're a part of in clearer ways. We need to get it generally correct first, and then from there we can dial into all the specifics. And I think at the heart of all of this is the question, who am I? What am I? What's the meaning of this? What does it mean to be a human being? How does my physicality function? What's the significance of my consciousness, and how does it operate? Well, I'll tell you how your consciousness operates. There's two of you, first of all. There might be infinitely more of you, but there's two of you to our purposes right now. And the two of you are, excuse me, the two of you are your two minds. Your analytical mind and your intuitive mind. Your intuitive mind is your macro self. Your analytical mind is your micro self, the one that you have conscious control over. Your micro self is the one you have conscious control over. Your macro self, you don't actually have control over, because it's everything else in the universe plus you. So you have control over you, but you don't have control over everything else in the universe except you. But you do. I mean, you have influence, but you have influence. I'll tell you the level of influence you have. You're affecting the field one of two ways. You are either an agent of order or you are an agent of disorder. And I'm going to take those two words to their macro and micro significance too, because there's different kinds of order. But at the level of physics, I think that, now, personally, the way I have chosen to chop it up is, fundamentally speaking, at the very beginning, you start with there's form and formless. There's the formless field, which is made of plonks, and in the beginning, those plonks are just a fabric, a field of plonks, and then they form into the form. And every form that there is all made of plonks. Every atom, you could boil it down to plonks and the forces associated with these plonks. But it all boils down to plonks. And a plonk is the smallest increment of frequency that there is. It's the smallest one you can get. It's a photon, which is a teeny weeny thing. It's not even the size of an atom, which is a teeny weeny thing. It's not even the size of a proton. As a matter of fact, a photon is very, very small. A packet of light can be measured, I guess, on a blot of photo paper. I don't know. A photon, whatever physicists say a photon is. Take a photon going at the speed of light, crossing its own diameter. That distance is a Planck. You can't get any shorter than this. And that's what is a Planck oscillator. It's what the fabric of the universe is. And where it's organized, we call it matter. And where it's not organized, it's every bit as dense. It's just not organized. And so we call it space. But everywhere, no, whether it's dead cold or blazing hot, whether it's in the middle of atoms or whether it's in the middle of the vacuum of space, it does not matter. Everywhere in the universe is this field of Planck's. It's the 0-point energy field, and it is massive, and it is everywhere. It is what we need to learn to plug into. We need to, first of all, understand it conceptually enough so that our intellect starts lighting up and goes, oh, possibilities here. Ooh, look what we could do. We could tap into this energy field because it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. It's what electric eels are zapping into. It's what fireflies are. It's the force. It's the force. It's the force from Star Wars. It's this energy field that we are all part of is the we-ness of the universe. And the intelligence of our inner being is the intelligence of God, because it's the intelligence that understands that it is a we project, not an I project. However, it is an I project. Every single individual is in it for themselves, and that is absolutely the truth. But the thing is they should be in it for themselves without swimming against the rest of the group. If you are in it for yourself, and the for yourself that you are in it for is blindly and actively and massively ramming against the better good of many, 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 many others, it starts causing a disorder in the field. So let's talk about order and disorder. Let's talk about physics. Let's talk about the flow. Who are we and what's actually happening? The actual motion of the universe is spin. And at a very fundamental level, the entire field is spinning together. It's the whole. It's the whole cup of coffee, and all of the matter that we've been calculating has only been the cream, the gobbets of cream, stuck in the coffee. We haven't been accounting for the coffee, and that's what the dark matter and dark energy is. It's the field. It's the swirling of the whole field. There is a smoothie churn of the whole dang field. It's all entangled because it all spun out of the same dimensionless plunk point. Actually, what it was a particle from a universe of a higher density flinging off of its black hole universe through the process of Hawking radiation, flung a particle off of the black hole that was this other denser universe into this space, way less dense. That particle of enormous density compared in this density goes kablooey in a Big Bang motion that produced our universe. But it's not a one-off. It's the way the multiverse is formed. And there's enough multiverse out there to accommodate any subjective experience that consciousness desires to create. That's how big the multiverse is. But let's just focus on this universe for a moment. Although this universe isn't just one universe, because frankly, every single one of us is sort of manning our own separate universe. But each one of our own separate universes is dovetailing within this greater universe that we're all, and who can keep track of all that? Well, there's only one thing that can. Some people call it the G word, but you don't have to get as esoteric as that to start realistically talking about it. It's you. It's your intuitive mind. It's your higher self. It's your macro self. It's you as the Planck field. It's you as the formless, who is who you really are. You really are the formless, causing the form to morph into whatever it is you want. So how does it work? It's desire is doing this, but it's pure desire. Pure desire. And I'll tell you what desire is at its purest level. It's a desire for love and connection and beauty and abundance and fun and more, better, beauty. To all of those things, and honor and justice and all of the things that resonate with our core frequencies. Our core frequencies are actually very positive, beautiful things. How are we living them out in this physical template that we're all, we've got this perfection of imagination and spirit and frequency inside of us, resonating or not resonating with things that we bang into in this physical world. And what's the object of the exercise? What's the whole point? Who am I? How do I get things to manifest? I can't get people to cooperate with me. I can't get anybody to cooperate with me. I have very few cooperative components, literal cooperative components, although I see the whole universe as a cooperative component to all of my desires. My desire for shelter and food and for my needs to be met as I have physical problems and I have desire for them to get better. I have an eyesight problem that I really wish the right solution would find me. Because I'm sure that coherence could be re-established if only I could understand how this works, you know? So I'm working on it from, I'm not going to focus right on the problem. I'm going to focus instead upon our nature, because I believe that an understanding of our physical nature will imply all of the answers to our physical problems. First of all, we got to start valuing human beings differently. We've got to start understanding what a human being is and how every single human being is actually a potential cooperative component to the full body of humanity who could do anything it wanted to because it has 16 billion hands and 16 billion eyes and 8 billion hearts and 8 billion minds. And if they could all beat as one and think as one and feel as one, there's nothing that we couldn't do. Now, that's hyperbolically all the way to the outside edges of that. But the fact is that human beings are amazing. We are amazing and we are powerful and we are wonderful. Or we are destructive and we are horrible and we are disgusting. But it's not an innate thing. It's not like anybody is inherently good or bad or irrevocably good or bad. The fact is that we are all good. We are all good. What some of us might be is terribly misaligned. Terribly misaligned. Terribly misimagining from within our internal reality to the outside reality, and are they reflecting one another correctly without distortion or with tremendous amounts of distortion because you're not understanding who you are and you're not putting the equation together correctly. First of all, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you are a murderous traitor. You have value. I don't care if you have made a mistake, done a bad thing, belong to the wrong club for a minute. I don't care. I don't care who you are or what you have done. If you are humanity, then you are worth saving. Because when we build systems based on an idea that there are some of us who are very bad and they deserve hellhole pits of torture to serve them right for the terrible things that they have done to the rest of us. When we start doing that, any kind of whisper of a philosophy or an idea that imagines that human beings can be thrown away instead of loved and cherished, rehabilitated and treated kindly and respectfully. Whenever we have a philosophy that believes the other way, then we start building physical systems to accommodate this belief, especially at the higher levels. When we start talking about us as governments, you know, the ones who are in charge of voting on and then building systems based on who we are. It becomes monstrous quickly. And you can see what the problem is. It's easy to see what the problem is. It's obvious what the problem is once it is pointed out. But until then, it's like really hard to see this. Maybe it seems reasonable to you. I know it seems reasonable to a very large percentage of my countrymen that if you subtract a certain number of us based on their unworthiness level, then what's left for the rest of us will be more. But that's because you're believing in such things as finite pi. It's not finite pi, it's infinite pi. You just have to get us into the mode of producing more pi. And we have produced so much pi. As a matter of fact, literally, I was in Costco the other day, a couple of days before Thanksgiving. There was so much pie. It was like an acre of pie, apple pie and pumpkin pie and seems like there was another kind of pie. There was so much pie. It is not a finite pie. It is an ever-exploding pie. You just have to understand what the pie is made of. And you know what is actually happening right now. To a large extent, there is a whole lot of humanity that is either not doing much of anything or is not particularly interested in that which they are doing. They would be more than happy to, if their imagination could spark onto what they could do that would feel good, that would make everything better, that would create abundance, they would do it. If they could be sparked onto a vision. They would absolutely be cooperative components to building a better world. Let's build a better world. Remember that slogan from IBM? I'm still waiting for it. Every time I pull up to a light that is not that is not taking the information of all of the traffic based on sensors in the road and then optimizing it with some sort of a brain somewhere that then is transmitting to the lights, making them, so you sit there for a minute or two at a light that there is literally no one else at, and you sit there burning your gas and wasting your time. And I'm thinking, let's build that better world. Where's that better world? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? That better world exists at the us point. But the us that we need to get together is one that I would suggest that you would align with your own inner being about. Because I don't know how to get along with 8 billion other people without stomping on everybody's toes. I frankly spend an awful lot of my time by myself, thinking about these things, pondering who we are and how this all works and what the problem that I see that we have. Our problem is all psychological. It's a matter of orientation. It's a matter of the old resistance is futile. Resistance is futile. Resistance is futile. And it's not because we have to accept that the bad is going to win. It's that resistance to what we imagine is a bad thing that's happening around us, instead of active participation and allowance and cooperation with a very, very positive thing that is going on around us, is the resistance to the thing we're imagining is actually slowing down what would otherwise already be getting to us. because the universe is so benignly designed. It's so perfect, so beautiful, so amazing. If you would line up with it inside your own mind, then you would realize on the outside how to affect it. I'm just beginning to study these things as I sort of disconnect from materiality in a way, in order to replug into materiality, how it, because I'm trying to understand humanity, okay? I see this authoritarian playbook. I saw it from the beginning. I got quite alarmed in 2016, actually, because I was a student of these things. I was absolutely a student of the Nazi period. Absolutely fascinated by it, read numerous books, including textbooks on the subject. The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, Hitler's Willing Executioners, any number of fictional works, movies, and things, very fascinated by, as well as studying the horrors of the Holocaust, and been through, Holocaust sections, never been to Israel. But, interested in this topic. Very, very interested in this topic. I've watched those series over on Netflix. The two, one is Hitler's Inner Circle, and then the other one is Hitler and the Nazis. Both of those fascinating, absolutely fascinating. One of them is all about, it's from the perspective and using information from William Shirer, who was the guy who wrote The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. And he was a journalist who was in Nazi Germany reporting for CBS as Hitler took over and all of that went down. And has a lot of, good inside take on that. Also, So You Want to Be a Tyrant, or How to Be a Tyrant? It's and how to be a cult leader too, because they're very related. We need to understand our own psychology, and we need to understand how important to us as a we, how we feel about the character that is put at the top of the we ticket. Because that personality sitting at the head of us, that figurehead, matters. It is part of our sense of identity, who we feel as a human, as we have a global identity as humanity itself. And then as nations, we have personalities. And those have identity. And these personalities that we are interact with one another at the global scale and, make trade deals for us and interact with one another at this high level as they interact as at a personal level, human beings relating to one another, but symbolically they are us as a we relating to our higher self as a we, collective we. It's all really interesting. Who Trump is, he is a reflection of part of what America is. This merchant mentality, this transactional self, this self that craves the bling and wants to be seen as, I don't know, he is part of who we are. And we cannot hate him out of existence. I know that there are people that I watch on YouTube channels that are on the cutting edge of the authoritarian newsroom news, watching what's going on at the shock level. You know, when the really egregious video comes in of the way we're treating immigrants, for instance, I want to see that stuff because it jolts me. It makes me go, shit, this isn't just academic. Ah, crap. You know, this matters. This matters. And it's just things exactly like that that drive me into my studio to do this Who Am I show, which someday I will have the courage to actually put it on the air. But this love everybody stuff is not going to go down very well with some people because they're deep in the throes of hating. And I hate, in some ways, I hate what the administration is doing. And Stephen Miller is awful. His view of other human beings and what he wants to do and the power that he has to do things to other human beings right now is just not acceptable. And that he and they are all doing it in my name because I am an American, it's not acceptable. The ridiculous things they do, that tearing down the East Wing of the White House, just tearing it down to build some $300 million, every day it's more. It started out at 100 million, I think, then 200 million, then 300, then 350, and God only knows. And it's a way for plutocrats and billionaires to suck up to our government, to donate money for this monstrosity that I don't want. I want my history back. I don't want this gold-plated monstrosity so that the plutocrats of the world can dance in my White House. That was the people's house, not the plutocrats' house. That's all of our house. And it talks about our history and where we came from and what matters to us and who we are. You know, all of that. So we have a long way to go. We really do. This whole thing is going to play out for a little while because all of the questions in the air are who am I? Who are we? What does it mean to be a human being? And how are we going to settle this all out into a system that is correctly and purely, accurately reflecting our needs and our desires as humanity, as human beings? And we could get into it if I had lots of time. Let's see. Where am I? It looks like I am 1 hour and 12, 13, I don't know. I'm well past an hour, I think. Which means it's time for me to stop. 7:34, yeah. Okay. I still need to do more of this. I need to do a marathon because upon doing a marathon, I could get past a whole lot of the fundamentals that I think I still need to keep covering because my audience, I don't have an audience yet. Nobody's seen anything. Some people have seen some of my earlier work, but they haven't seen me, and I wasn't much specifically referring to this moment in time where we are struggling with our autocratic moment. You know, what are we going to do with this particular iteration of George III? You know, we just divorced him last time, but he's us. What are we going to do with him? Some people want to pillory him. They want to put his head on a pike and display it outside the city walls, you know, as a warning to all other would-be autocrats. Stop it. But, and I hear that. I empathize with that sentiment a little bit, but we can't do that because it's ultimately love is the answer. Love of each other is the stark contrast to the hatred that we feel for the other coming from the administration. You know, the hellhole people, and nasty, and gotta restore order, and I don't know. It's But love is the answer, and love of the haters, unfortunately, is part of the bitter pill. And knowing that our neighbor is our unknown self made visible, including the neighbor that is our president and his administration. Those are our neighbors too. Most of us know, if I knew my family, I would absolutely know which one of them are MAGA. And I would absolutely have members of my family who are MAGA. I certainly would. I have thousands of relatives, or at least 1,000, fairly close relatives, from my grandfather down. My grandfather and his offspring, there's lots of them. They were Mormons, there's lots of them. All those people, many of them are going to be MAGA. I just don't know my relatives because I fled Arizona, and I live a pretty hermitized life. I'm not a joiner to much of anything. I'm on a bowling team, so I have joined a bowling team. But for the most part, I am not a part of another organization. I just am an observer of humanity and a commentator thereof. And until tomorrow, because I feel like I've gone well past an hour, and I'm not doing a marathon today, so I think I should stop. And I'll pick it back up tomorrow. I might even post this one. It wasn't the worst thing ever. This is the day after Thanksgiving, 2025. It's actually my grandson's birthday today. He is turning 3 years old. And it's not just a grandson, it's one that's living with me. So, him and his mother. And in any case, too much information, too much specific information. I just want to talk about who we are as humanity and where we are going and how we build our systems and how to make sure that the systems that we build for ourselves as humanity do not have fatal flaws in them because they are built out of alignment with the truth of who we are and how it works. And we will discuss it more someday, perhaps in the near future. I can arrange a marathon. Start in the morning and finish in the afternoon. See if I can cover everything that I want to talk about. Everything. But in any case, until next time, you do your best. May the force be with you. May the source be with you.